Okay, I think we're here. Today is our second of the second pillar of the 4 in the series for website and funnel web design or a brand new website. So whether you're revamping or whether you're creating a brand new website, this information should be helpful to you, and we'll be sharing some tips and some quick time savers and some really good tutorial information to help you create the successful website that you deserve. I have a feeling something is not recording, but that's okay. I'll assume that I don't need to do that part. Okay, so, and it doesn't have, yeah. Okay. Does anyone remember what I said last Tuesday was about how important it is to ensure that you really niche down or hone down on who your audience is, because it's so important that you understand who it is that you're trying to attract. If you get it wrong in the beginning, it could really mess up your website. And what I found over the years are clients coming to me and saying, you know, I'm just not getting the results that I expected when I built my website. And most times when I do a site audit, what I find is that they aren't addressing the right audience. And so therefore they're not getting the conversions that they want. And this is a huge issue. And so when we are planning, as we talked about in the first series, is that it's really important to understand who your audience is, the demographics of the audience, where they hang out, what do they like doing, what kind of buyer are they, where are they in the buying process. So all this is super important. And so what I want to do is just show you that understanding the audience will affect everything that is going on in your whole web design structure. So let's look at the website design and web build. And what I want to first just go back over again is the administration, how important it is. Because a lot of times in fact, I get tons of calls from people asking me, oh, you know, I can't remember my username or password, how to get access to, and things like that. So what I like to do is encourage them to come up with some kind of structure for their website, like for their file explorer on their desktop or laptop. So basically, I mean, all we need to do is make sure that we have the site contact details, the emergency contact, and how you structure your file folder. So I just did a picture where you can have an idea of how I typically suggest, you know, putting out your file folder together here. And so quickly, you can just see that, you know, you have an administration folder, which will, you know, keep all the usernames, passwords, the plugin renewal dates, the domain renewal, the hosting, all that. Then you should be taking weekly backups so you can download them and put them into your backup file. And then you have a content file that's broken down even more into, I suggest blogs, drafts, images, and social media, and then video. And social media can be broken down into, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you use, TikTok. And then you'd have videos. So you would have a separate from images, just because I like to keep all my videos in one place. And then I would have something like a directory or profiles such as Alignable, LinkedIn, and any, for me, I have women-oriented directories that I belong to, and I have a few more, but I didn't put them in there. But this helps whenever you get any email or any files that you're working with regarding your website. Having a structure like this will make it easier for you to find things and make your life more efficient when you're building the site itself and maintaining it. So this, I think, if you can follow something like this, I'll put it into the guide. I'm still working on the guides, the checklist, and hopefully some of that will be ready for, at the end of the course series. And that way you can follow something similar. Obviously, make it more personal for yourself. And that would be great for organization and administration. So this here is, like I said last time, is my brainstorming mind map that I use. And so I just wanted to go over another huge topic, which many people really don't have an idea what's involved or how much a website costs to build. And truthfully, it's really independent to what you're looking for. So some people may say, I'm just starting out. I want to have be a beginner here. So, I want to be able to, let's just check, make sure I'm sharing the screen. I have more problems with Zoom and share. But anyway, so I might have to do another recording just for this. So the budget area that I'm concerned with is ensuring that we look at, the annual fees for domain and hosting. In the domain, there's also SSL. Right now, most hosting companies will throw the SSL in the first year, and they may charge you from the subsequent years later. Some do, some don't. It all depends. Also hosting, when there's, you can have just basic hosting, but then if you want better security with your hosting, sometimes they will suggest a firewall. So that costs more money. And at the same time, if you have a lot of files, especially video files, and you're adding to your storage and go over your storage amount, then they may add more money there as well. Most times, you have possibly, if you're working with WordPress, additional premium plugins. And there's a fees that come, annual fees that go on through that. And then the actual build of the website, whether you build it yourself, do it yourself, or whether you pay someone to build the site, there's that ongoing time, hours of time for production and service that a developer designer would charge you to create the site. And even if you did it yourself, it's still time that's taken away from you making money in your business. So that's what the budget, that area that I like to just go over with my clients and my people who are training. So I wanted to cover three main questions that come up a lot. And that is, what platform do you recommend for my business? And when they talk about platform, it's actually the content management system. So we hear of the self-hosting platform for WordPress is a structure all in itself. Most people who use WordPress are people who are working with developers who work with WordPress. I think they themselves that are trying to do it yourself with WordPress many times have some challenges with it, because It's not quite as easy as it seems to be. They are making it better than it used to. I mean, I started when we had to write HTML and JavaScript and CSS files. Now, you know, you can get a lot of already created functionality and features to build out your website so that you don't have to worry about those things. But there are still, you know, issues of security, and it is, I would say, more complex than a hosted platform like the one that we provide, the Simplifying the Web platform, similar to Wix, Squarespace, Weebly. But I would say I've looked for a very long time for a hosted platform for my clients who have lower budgets than, and not only lower budgets, and want to be able to maintain the website themselves, want to be able to go to in the middle of the night when they have a great idea and start typing away and making changes to their website. That's the type of client who I'm looking for now, that is willing to work with their website, and we work together, creating it and maintaining it. We're here for personal service to be able to help you get up and running and ongoing service when needed. So the CMS then that we have is called a hosted plan. And typically they are structured in packages. So you usually have a small business plan, another plan that's a growth plan, and then a pro plan or something like that. So as you go up in price, in what is offered, it goes up in price. So so then the other thing that people ask me about is templates versus custom design. Now, anything when you say custom typically costs more money. And why? Is because it you know, it takes time to understand what the client wants. It takes time to create the design itself. And it's certainly, you got to build out all the design pieces that go into the HTML, the code, the structure code of the site. So even if you're using a CMS, a content management system, whether it's WordPress or a hosting plan, you still got to figure out the way to take that design that you've created, maybe in Photoshop or InDesign or something, and then get it into the actual website structure. So that's why custom design is a lot more. And I understand why some businesses do need custom design, and they want to keep their branding similar to their other media assets. So it makes sense for them to have custom design. In other cases, what we provide and what many other hosting plans provide are actual templates that are actually all done. They're done for you. And what you do is you actually, let me just go to the templates, and you'll see that you can see the various kind of templates, and you just choose it based on what you like as far as. So you can see the various templates here. Sorry, my internet there went off. But you can view them. You can, if you like what you see. Now, some of them obviously have been, coordinated with what they believe this type of template would be best for. So for example, this is a finance and wealth management template. But if you like this design, the colors and everything, you could take this template and just change out the picture, change out the colors. Perhaps you like the way that the navigation bar is, and that you have a call to action button right at the top. So you may want to keep this type of template, but put your own colors in, and that's easy to do. And this is what we pride in our offerings. I'm sure the same is with Wix and Weebly. They have something similar as well, GoDaddy. But the big difference working with us is the personal service that you won't get. I can detest that. Many clients say that they cannot get hold of anybody at GoDaddy or sometimes Wix, because they're a huge company and they can't offer that personal service like we can. So I would suggest that when you're just starting out, go with a template and then make it more personable for yourself. I mean, when I created my website for myself, it was quite simple in the sense that all I needed to do was I got a template, I just put my logo in, I had a colors for my branding, so I chose a certain color set, and you can even choose and add your color palette here so that you always have the colors. And so when you're choosing a color, this palette will come up first, so you can work off of these colors. So that it's really nice to be able to have that in the web design portion. You can change all your settings. You can set up a domain for yourself and just connect it. This is all part of the package. The same with personalization. You can add, so it's very dynamic. So for example, if I go to another page, I go to the builder plans. I can see that my template, I use a color that matches the plan colors that I already have. So you can utilize these colors wherever you'd like. Typically, when it comes to colors, you have a primary color and a secondary color, and then you would have a one for your call to action color. Okay, now another question that I get asked is, how will the site get optimized? Really, the site optimization starts right at the beginning. Remember in the last series, I talked about how important it was to find what keyword phrases are best suited for your industry, and look at your competitors to see what kind of keyword phrases they're using. By having a set of keyword phrases that you're working with, you can then integrate it into your wording, into your content. And so each page should make sure it has its own keyword phrase that you're optimizing for. So this one, for example, I could be optimizing for do-it-yourself website builder plans. I could do do-it-yourself website plans, drag and drop website, do-it-yourself builder. So there are a number of different phrases that I could use in the content of my page. Now, most service pages or product pages, it's difficult to optimize, mainly because there's not a lot of information you put with your product. You'd have your title, you'd have your short description, and then you'd have an image. So one of the best things to do is make sure that if you have products, you have multi-products, make sure you categorize them and then even subcategorize them so that you have 3 opportunities of optimizing a product name. The same with services. Instead of putting all your services on one page, I recommend that you have a drop-down navigation. So this is your menu navigation. You would drop down so that you would have multi pages, and then you would have multiple opportunity for optimizing different service pages. I wouldn't go any further than 3 deep, just because it gets a little hairy on your navigation. I can show you what, show you here. What we have is what we call a mega menu, because here I'm saying get started. Well, I'm giving them, the viewers, a choice. Do they want to create a website builder, or do they want to create a funnel? Or perhaps they already have a website and they want to do email marketing automation and set that up. So this is what we call a mega menu. Mega menus, you can put icons in, links, you can put buttons, your call to action buttons. So it's kind of a nice way to put a lot of information into one spot. And so going back to optimization, it's quite simple in the sense that in our pages, all we need to do is go to the gear button here and show settings, and then we can put in our SEO information here. So we put in our page title and we put in our meta description, and we click it to make sure it's added to the sitemap. And then whenever somebody shares a page, there's typically a little thumbnail that goes with it. So you can even add that thumbnail, which is nice little touch when people are looking at links. Okay, and then the next question that I get a lot is, who will update it? Who will update the website? Well, because this website is built by yourself, you probably are quite confident in going in and making, text changes or borders, changing out the borders, or changing the images. You may be obviously familiar with putting links in. So I would say, even if we built this website for you and gave you some training, I think you would pick it up quite easily. Obviously, we would be there to help you if you were stuck with something. The other thing is, if you need it, we do have maintenance packages where you can hire us for half a day or a full day and say, okay, here are all my changes. Can you please make these changes to the website? Now, other changes like blog articles, I do suggest you write a blog at least once a month, if not more. And blog articles are good because you can then link them back to the appropriate service that you may be talking about, or the package that you may be talking about, and tie them in. And this gives Google more evidence of the theme, the overall theme that that page is trying to be optimized for. So there's a lot involved with website building, but it's quite a step-by-step methodical creation. You have a structure, you have elements within that structure, and you just kind of build it up, and then you can then tweak it to your heart's desire. If you don't like the title here, or you don't like the image, you could change out the image. So I think for those who are just starting out business, or have been in business but haven't really got online yet, getting a website builder plan is probably the best recommendation. Now, if you came to me, and I get this frequently, if you come to me and say, you know, I have this huge website, it's custom designed, it's global, I need it to be optimized for global, I need, you know, in X about languages, I would not give you a website plan, builder plan. I would recommend doing something that, whether it's Java or whether it's built in WordPress, it would be a different kind of website build and more complex and obviously a lot more money. So I think that's it. I should close off. And I thank you for listening. And I hope I got some of this done properly this time. Thank you. Bye-bye.